All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're getting into a cognitive bias that honestly shapes our world way more than we like to admit. It's called the halo effect. And this story, man, it's the perfect example of competence versus charisma, where just looking the part can be more powerful and way more dangerous than actually knowing what you're doing. Okay, so let's just dive right in. Picture this. A company, Stratosphere Analytics, needs to fill a super important job, Senior Director of Operations. They've narrowed it down to the final two candidates. And when you look at their resumes, you'd think, okay, this is going to be a piece of cake. Easy choice. So on one side, you've got Elias. This guy is a logistical wizard, PhD from MIT, a resume that's just flawless. Then on the other side, you have Julian. And, well, his main qualification seems to be him, his presence. One guy is the solution. The other guy just looks like the solution. And oh boy, the choice they make here tells you everything you need to know. Right, so now we get to the interviews. This is it, the ultimate showdown between substance and style. And it's where the company has all the information they need, but decides to just, look the other way. I mean, just look at this comparison. Elias comes in, gives a technically perfect answer to their big problem. But he's nervous, he's sweaty, the CEO literally says he looks shifty. Then Julian strolls in. He gives a complete non-answer full of corporate jargon like synergy. He says nothing. But he says it with this incredible charm and confidence, and somehow it just works. It doesn't even matter that it's all fluff. So Lena, the hiring director, she sees right through this. She's like, wait a minute, and tries to push back. But Marcus, the CEO, he's not having it. He says, you're missing the forest for the trees. He looks like a winner. He went with his gut. But here's the thing, right? His gut was just looking at the guy's jawline. He hired the guy who fit his movie poster idea of a leader, not the one who could actually do the job. So no surprise, Julian gets the job. And this is where things get really interesting, because that charisma that got him in the door, it quickly turns into something more, like a force field. It's his personal shield against any kind of accountability. Okay, get this. He's only been there 2 months, and he makes a $10 million mistake, a $10 million rounding error in their projections. He just fat-fingered it. I mean, this is the kind of screw-up that gets you fired, instantly, or at the very least put on a serious performance plan. But does that happen to Julian? Nope. He just turns on the charm. He hits them with this line about being a big picture guy who was so focused on macro growth strategy that he made a tiny little slip-up. He basically reframes a colossal screw-up as a side effect of his own genius. And the craziest part? They buy it. And this just lays the double standard bare, right? Think about it. If Lena, this super competent director, had done this, she'd be on a performance plan so fast her head would spin. Her career there would be on life support. But Julian? He gets a good catch, Lena, and everyone just moves on. That charisma shield is working overtime. So you've got to be asking, what is going on? How does this guy keep getting away with it? Well, it all boils down to a glitch in our brains, a kind of mental shortcut that we all take, usually without even knowing it. And this is where Lena finally just says it. She calls it out. She looks at her CEO and says, that is literally the halo effect. She puts a name to this invisible force field that's been protecting Julian and making everyone else lose their minds. And here's what that means. The halo effect is basically our brain taking a lazy shortcut. We see one thing we like, in this case, someone who's really good looking, and our brain just assumes, oh, well, they must be smart and honest and competent too. We create this halo of good qualities around them. So because Julian looks like a leader, everyone's brain just fills in the blanks and decides he is one, even when all the evidence is screaming the exact opposite. And look, this isn't just some modern-day corporate thing. This is old programming. It's a survival heuristic. Think way back, like Stone Age level old. Back then, if someone looked healthy and symmetrical, that was a pretty good sign they'd be a good mate or a strong tribe member. What is beautiful is good was a useful shortcut. The problem is, we're still running that ancient software in a modern office, and it's causing some serious system crashes. Okay, so this mental glitch, this beautiful is good shortcut, it's about to lead to an absolute disaster. We're at the point where a good story becomes more important than good data. And this time, it's not just about money. The stakes are much, much higher. So the company has this incredibly important project, getting aid to a disaster zone. Lena's data team runs the numbers, and they've got the perfect route. It's safe, it's clear, but Julian, he overrules them. Why? Because the coastal route, while washed out, has a better narrative. It'll make for a better photo op. He literally chooses optics over actual operations, and surprise, surprise, 12 trucks full of aid end up stuck in the mud. A total predictable failure. So when Marcus confronts him, does Julian own up to it? Of course not. He puts on a performance. He blames the data team, he says they messed up, and that he, the brave leader, was betrayed by their bad information. It's just an incredible, bare-faced lie. But here's the thing, Lena has the receipts. Like literally, a direct email from Julian that says, and I quote, "Direct order overrides safety protocol." This is it, the smoking gun. It's game over, right? His lie is completely exposed. So you'd think he's cornered, he's caught red-handed, but no, Julian pulls off the most amazing pivot I've ever seen. He looks at the CEO and basically says, "Maybe my fault is that I wanted to save everyone, not just the ones the computer picked." He reframes his incompetence as having too much empathy. His crime wasn't being wrong, it was caring too much. It's brilliant, in a terrifying way. And if you thought that was unbelievable, hold on. After Julian goes on TV, gives this tearful apology about his big, empathetic heart, the company's stock price goes up. It goes up by 2%. The public, the market, everyone, they bought the performance completely. Which brings us to the last part of this whole mess. And honestly, it's the most infuriating lesson here. In a world that's so blinded by the halo effect, for some people, failure just doesn't stick. So what happened to everyone? Well, the fallout was pretty much what you'd expect. Stratosphere Analytics? It went under. The CEO, Marcus, lost his company, lost his reputation. Lena and Elias, the actual competent people, they had to start their own small firm. And Julian, the guy who caused all of it? Nothing. He walked away completely unscathed. Actually, scratch that. It's worse than unscathed. He failed upwards. He landed an even better job with a fancier title, Chief Visionary Officer, at a bigger company. That charisma shield, that halo, it didn't even have a scratch on it. His failure wasn't just forgiven, it was rewarded. And so that's what we're left with, this really haunting question at the end. Because the halo effect, it's not just about a bad hire at some company, it's about us. It's about our deep-seated need to believe the world makes sense, that it's fair, that what looks good is good. And when a story like this comes along and just blows that idea to pieces, it forces us to look at a world that's maybe a lot more chaotic and a lot more biased than we ever wanted to believe.
Please like and subscribe.